old friend. He been looking for someone to talk to.
Hurry, girl, I see your order.
Caution, caution, cause the flame's hot.
And I'm the catch of the day.
Hey, 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 hey.
Nah. We're going to take it over.
Oh, we are live. Okay.
I'll give you free if your heart is hungry. You can place your order here. Let me serve you up. Hey, serve you up. Say you can have it your way. You're the customer. Have it your way, girl.
This ain't karaoke, but
Alright,
you know.
my bad. We're about to go in.
Oh, y'all was already in.
Right, you ain't saying no like, bro, like
No,
we
ain't like a silent director.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? None of that. Like it's just
Nothing.
cue. Give us a cue next time, please. No.
What up?
And knowledge are
No, he's just gonna ignore us.
goddamn.
You know what I'm saying?
Come in,
America of you.
Come in, OutSpoken Network. Say what you mean what you say. It is Wednesday, Sports Podcast Day.
It's
here
Eric.
with you
It's
with
Eric.
the Big Bang.
You got something against Eric.
Man, it might be a say what you mean, do what Cordell won't. That's what's
Oh, this is what. Oh, I like that.
Like that.
Say what you mean, do what Cordell say. Here we go, baby. So we're going to go ahead and get right on.
Excuse me?
You know, that's what the host man do. I ain't mad at that.
Shoot.
This is what we do.
Range.
We're gonna sing on the way out too, just for that.
That's what y'all normally do anyway.
Hey, it's on the way out.
Dum, 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 dum.
You're going to mess around and get us copyrighted off of your own stuff. All right, so it's been a minute. Thank you guys for joining us as always. Unfortunately, we weren't able to wrap up the last 2 weeks due to people being sick and other things going on with us.
People or person?
People being sick, you know, things happen in life. So, you know, it is what it is. I mean,
I wasn't sick.
I was also
my immune system is good. So
in an undisclosed tropical location.
See what I'm saying?
Undisclosed.
oh, you in Mexico? Stop playing.
People. So
You ain't pulling business out there.
we are here to go ahead and get into everything that has happened from the draft onward. Obviously, we are getting.
That's Cordell. That's.
I would.
He was about to get to that.
It's right.
Hey, get off the show. Nah.
You was taking too long. Go ahead.
Oh wow! Now you're taking too long.
Saying he tried to tell me I do my job all of a sudden.
Yeah, bro, your monologue is just.
Anyway,
gotta wrap this up.
That's bad.
Before we get started, I'm Cordell.
Marqus.
E-Rock.
Deucey Deuce.
All right, and as we said, we are getting ready to. It is now getting into cruise control. You know, draft's over now. It's cruising in. Have some OTAs, mini camps, mandatory mini camps, into training camps. So if you're about that life and you want to see and hear about all your teams, then great. Keep joining us, joining on the conversation. As always, please like, subscribe, share on all socials.
Please.
Of course, you can join us
on
Patreon and all other avenues as well. With that all being said, let's get into our highs, our lows, the things we like, dislike, shocks, surprises, best fits, worst fits. The world is our oyster. We can talk about whatever the hell we want to. Let's just dive on in because there's a lot to cover. Very little time to do so.
You give us the first question.
Hey, look, I do think that we should start off with what teams we felt like had the best draft. Because, I mean, a lot of teams had some good drafts now. But what teams had the best?
Eagles had the best draft.
Hey,
Eagles had the best
Based
draft.
off of name and cachet and
I rather go with drafts that we like. Cause I really don't like giving grades.
I don't like
haven't seen these players.
We're not giving grades.
Well, I just, but
We're
I'm
just
talking about,
like-
so it's
Like, just off of the teams that we felt like, dang, like, they drafted well for the needs that they had and the players that they got when they got.
I guess.
That's all. We ain't giving no A's or...
Yeah, I'm not.
I ain't no
so
teacher.
I don't give. I'm not giving.
This is what I can say. I think the Eagles draft is overrated.
Overrated. So overrated
Yeah.
how?
This is where I'm at with it.
You got some points to back that up. Go ahead.
He does.
He do. I mean, even when we looked at the
I wanna hear this.
last year and year before,
Last year,
with
they always get
Ringo
A's.
and the Kobe Dean and things like that.
The media is always in love with their draft.
They always.
But it's because they get guys...
They always find value.
Yeah, it's value in the pick.
We're gonna judge them because Nolan Smith didn't have an outstanding rookie year. Like,
I mean,
he got his chance this year. There's no Hassan Reddick in the picture. Like, I mean,
the reason why they went corner this year was because Keely Ringo didn't.
But he was a 5th round pick.
No, he's a 5th round pick. Bro.
Like, you didn't.
So
Come on, you didn't.
at the same time, when we look at somebody like Keely, one of the people who, when we were talking about the Eagles' grades, we were thinking, oh, this is a 5th round dude who was originally supposed to be a first
third.
round.
But no, not first.
But you also
going into
third.
the first round.
No.
Third is still a huge difference.
But when you still,
Yes,
but you have to put it.
Great player.
You have to put in consideration that even though they drafted Ringo last year, right? Bradbury took a step back last year, and Slay is 1 year older. So just drafting a 5th round corner doesn't just you don't just finish the job at that point. Like you still need to add talent to that position.
I would say I feel. You guys tell me. Did you not feel like their defense was worse last year?
No,
it was their Super Bowl year.
Of course.
Yes.
Okay. So, but the high grades that they got were because of the guys they got for their defense in last year's draft.
Yeah, they got a guy like Nolan. They got Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter in round 1 together.
Right. That was great defense, and their defense was worse.
But we know why their defense was worse because of the backing. It wasn't because of those 2+7. They had no safe. They had no free safety.
And you can contribute a little bit to them switching defensive coordinators too.
And also the departures that they had in the safety area
and the linebackers.
So then the question would have been like they got A's last year, right? And they're saying, well, because they didn't address the back end. And so why they should have addressed the back end last year?
Nobody felt they needed to because remember we thought Bradbury and Slay was going to be Bradbury and Slay. They were the number 1 pass defense
going into the draft.
Nobody felt like they needed to upgrade the cornerback.
Right.
Then we found out, okay, they're getting old. They
took a complete different approach in this draft. They addressed the secondary early, which they needed to do, and they got 2, in my opinion,
at least at the top
really 3 good talents. Like you get Quinyon Mitchell, and you don't even have to move.
Mm-hmm.
And we know coming into the draft that the rumor was that Howie Roseman had his eyes on the corner and that he was going to make a move to go up and get one. He didn't have to move at all. Quinyon Mitchell fell into his lap, and then you circle back in round 2, and you get a guy like Cooper DeJean, who's was supposed to be taken in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to move for him either. So you got a corner, you got a shutdown corner, and you have what I feel some people may want to play him at the corner early on. I think he's a better free safety because of his instincts. You can have Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean in your secondary this year going forward. Man, I
think the one thing with the Eagles draft is, like we said, the players that they picked. For one, like we knew going into the draft that they were high value guys. But it's like when they picked them, you're like, we didn't even think those guys were going to be available at that spot.
Right.
So that's kind of why it ups their draft grade, because they're getting guys that are valuable in our eyes at a great value of a pick, because we didn't think those guys would fall to there.
Correct.
So it's like when we talk about draft grades, that's kind of one of the ones where it's like them getting Jeremiah Trotter Jr. in the fifth round. You're like, that's a guy that's had production in college.
My goodness.
That's a great pick for the 5th round.
Great bloodline.
Absolutely.
And especially a guy that, like he said, that you've known him because his dad played at the same franchise his whole career, basically. So you're like, okay, you get a guy in the 5th round that has production at the linebacker position that's kind of been an all-around guy. And you're like, one of the reasons why he fell is more so because of his size.
Right.
But it's like, if he ends up panning out in any shape or form, you're like, that's a great pick. I mean, if he doesn't, it's a 5th round pick where you're like,
when it comes to him, I mean, his dad wasn't tall either.
He's like 6'1".
Yeah,
so
his dad had to deal with that as well. But Jeremiah Trotter was a tackling machine in Philly. And then to find a guy like Aeneas Smith in the fifth round as well, that I think is another guy. Played a lot at Texas A&M. You're talking about production. He has the numbers, and to me, he's an upgrade over Zacchaeus, who they had last year.
Yeah.
And he's an upgrade over Quez Watkins as well.
Yeah.
So you take him and you put him in that offense where you don't need him to do. You already got AJ. You already got Devontae. You already got Jay.
But he's just an extra playmaker that
you already got Goddard. Hey, bro, just
Johnny Wilson, big ass later in that round.
Yeah.
They also got Will Shipley.
Yeah, Will Shipley
in the 4th round. a guy that you may not necessarily think can be your bell cow at the running back position, but when you already have a Saquon in that room and you can add his dimension to it,
and we know that they like to rotate their running.
Absolutely, yes, he's an upgrade in my opinion over Gainwell
And Boston Scott.
Absolutely,
yeah, and Boston Scott.
Yeah.
So Philly did well. Now it has to translate on the field.
Yeah,
and I see your point to an extent, but I don't want to sit here and knock their drafts from a year ago because everyone didn't pan.
Now, and the thing is, like, when we talk about post-season draft grades and talk about, okay, we've seen a full year, like, what is it like now? I feel like the only way you can really get the full value of a draft is after that 3 to 4 years where we're like, okay, what did these players turn out to be?
Right.
I think that's the only way you can really evaluate a full draft class is after 3 to 4 years. So after 3 to 4 years, you'll know what guys have produced and what guys are probably not going to be on the team after their contract. Right. Like, it's just one of those things where it's hard to, especially like after year one, because year one, some guy might be like, oh, okay, like I had an older guy ahead of me, or, oh, I just had a harder learning curve in year one. And then in year 2 or 3, they kind of take off into.
For me, I guess I look at it the way that they talked about the Eagles draft class last year, like had it before the season even played out. Right, when after they did their draft in 2023, I would have expected their rookies to make the impact that the Lions rookies made. That's what I was expecting. Because you gave them that, remember, and the Lions didn't get the grades. Remember,
Lions did get an A grade
last year.
Yes,
I thought people were upset with them. Weren't they?
No.
They got
no.
And they said Jameer, running back in the first.
And they got Brian. You got Brian Brandon. They got Brian.
So what happened with the Lions draft is they said they picked the right players. They just felt like they didn't pick them in the right way.
Hey, Brian Branson's a steal.
Players were the right players that people loved. They just thought that they thought that Brian Branch should have been the first round.
Should have been in the first round. Yeah,
second.
He went the second.
And then they thought that Jameer Gibbs should have been the second round pick as well. But either way, like those guys are people that they valued, so they got an A still. It's just that they felt like they didn't need to pick them where they did.
Either way, I felt like people were. I was expecting the Eagles rookies to be like the Lions.
What if that happens this year? What if that?
Well, if it's this year, then I'm for it.
What if Jalen Carter had a good year as a defensive tackle? Like the only ones that you're talking about that really didn't
just got overshadowed
was just but what you're really talking about is like Nolan Smith was kind of the only one that really didn't do a whole lot. He was another first round.
You're still wondering about N'Kobe D.
Yeah,
who's 2 years removed. You're still like, okay, where are we going to get? Because I think bringing in a guy like Trout.
I mean, even him, he was still a third round pick. So they didn't like the value wise.
That's fair, but I would not be surprised if Trotter would be too. Like they're the same linebacker.
Well, I mean, but so I do get that, but it's like but they play two, so who would be the other one?
And you're not going to have two undersized linebackers.
Hey, look, the Eagles, man.
If one of them is a Hall of Famer, I'm thinking of Ray Lewis. Like when you got Ray Lewis,
wow,
you know what I'm saying? But that was where my brain went. I'm
too far down the road.
Yeah.
They ain't had their first practice yet.
Whatever.
But not like I do get your concern, but it's like when we do the draft grades, we just base it off of not what their production is going to be. We don't know that. But what we just do is just the valuation of the guys that they drafted and where we think their ceiling is.
I'm not for grades. I'm just for expectations. I just want to know expectations. I don't care about grades. I don't want to do grades.
Don't care about grades either.
Yeah, I just want to know what should the expectations be for said team or said player.
So that just depends on what pick they were.
For me, in terms of improving, I guess there's a spectrum with the Steelers for me and what their draft did for them. I really like what they brought to the table. It's going to be, there are question marks because they could potentially be starting three rookie offensive linemen this year with who they pick between Fontenot,
Frazier,
and Cormac and Frazier from West Virginia. Mm-hmm. They could have three new linemen on the line. They picked up Roman Wilson, show up in the big moments, little route runner, confident player.
Nice,
been there with George.
Nice Deontay Johnson replacement, if you ask me.
You feel me?
Yeah.
You got they already
They got Peyton Wilson, the linebacker.
Justin Fields, the quarterback, so giving them some weapons. They picked up Peyton Wilson in that defense too. I feel like the Steelers have one of those foundations, especially on defense, where you can grab players with certain traits and certain entities. You could build them up and make things work. It don't always work.
So,
like they tried that experiment with Devin Bush,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it didn't work. But like having someone like Peyton Wilson who has that 4.43 40, who's a head hunter.
Right. Like he had the second best draft grade upon linebackers. The only reason why he dropped it was because of his injury concern.
Right. Right. Which I was mad that the Commanders passed on him. They passed on him and Junior Colson. I was really upset about that. Neither here nor there. I feel like their draft there's a spectrum for how it could hit, but I think it could raise their floor for sure, especially if the line hits. It just gives Fields and Russ extra time, gives Najee extra holes to run through. And we know what Najee can do getting downhill. He looked a little like, hey.
Which Najee?
I feel like we haven't seen Najee with space yet. Like, we've only been accustomed to Najee having to fight for his life.
It is true. He was one of the few players.
But we haven't seen him with space.
Jalen Warren don't have
no issue. That's because Jalen Warren's a smaller back. And then plus they get him a lot on end rounds and stuff, whereas Najee is more of just.
Najee was supposed to be a do-it-all. I don't know what you're talking about. Coming out, he was supposed to be do-it-all.
But he was.
But y'all saying he clearly...
No. I'm saying...
You said, well, he's getting it on end rounds. Well, why can't Najee get on end rounds? He's supposed to be able to do it all. That's what I'm saying.
Like,
you should be unless you're a little sluggish and you can't beat people around the corner anymore.
But that's just kind of the back that he's grown into is a guy that's just...
He was running with Jingle.
I mean, I get it, but like with Najee, we can say that when it came to the Steelers' offensive line, it seemed like he was hit more in the backfield with first contact a lot more often than not. So it's
6'1", 220, 230.
With linebackers, 6.
I'm talking about when you're a running back at that size.
But if you don't have the speed going downhill to do a whole lot, like
so, with that being said, Najee's probably going to be out of his contract by the time this O-line actually is the O-line that they want it to be. So,
but he'll be renewed.
We'll see.
He will.
But sure. But to me, I'm like, next year I fully
Saquon had to go through.
Yeah. Next year I fully expect for Najee to still deal with the exact same situation that he's dealing with now. Like, and it's nothing against the O-linemen that they chose, not saying that they're not good, but it just takes time for O-linemen to develop. They literally say that O-linemen hit their prime in their later 20s than in the early 20s.
And
so
with the Steelers, they should absolutely, given how the draft played out, right? I know they have a certain demise when it comes to the Ravens, but
my friend said the Stevie Johnson jersey crazy.
The demise should be even more for the Ravens now if you're the Steelers, because once again, the Ravens find themselves just getting a collection of players that they didn't really have to trade for. They didn't have to move up for. So many good value picks. You get TJ Tampa in round 4.
Wow.
But I think
he doesn't have a ton of speed. But not the most athletic.
But to be honest,
given how they operate as a defense, he fits. And to get him in round 4, you get a guy like Tez Walker in round 4. Like, again, like, it's just.
But we also know that some of these guys have, like, it's the reason why they drop. I think with Tampa, it was more of maybe like we overvalued, him in terms of draft grades more than what teams did. And then you could say with Tez Walker, maybe it was his Senior Bowl where it was like, okay, they were kind of off-putting about the drop, so maybe that's why he dropped.
But it's who they fell to. I get that, but like TJ Tampa right now, given what they have or how they operate defensively, there's no pressure on him whatsoever. Like
no.
Tez Walker the same way, and getting Nate Wiggins in round.
Yes, like if you want to say that, like
here they go again. Now my only concern was that I felt, and I get it because I felt like you looked at the Tez Walker, you looked at the TJ Tampa and said, I can't pass up on those type of guys, those type of talent. I would have liked them to kind of sort of hit offensive line a little bit more early on, but I get how the draft played out. They took Rosengarten in the second round.
Yeah.
A right tackle out of Washington. They had 3 starters lead this offseason.
I think it was only
two or three, right?
It was 2.
So given what you want to do,
the center and the tackle,
right? Given what you want to do as an offense, how you want to run the football, you want to be a physical,
not center, guard.
You want to be a dominant unit up front at least. And then you have Derrick Henry back there in the backfield. I would have felt like, man, it could have hit that a little bit more because I think last time I'm looking at their depth chart, they had a couple starters that were kind of sort of penciled in there that were taken in like round 6 and 7. I love that, even though it's the Ravens organization. But again, value picks for this team. They're literally the AFC version of the Eagles, in my opinion. Every year, those 2 teams walk away from the draft saying, hey, we took these guys and we probably didn't have a chance. We thought we didn't have a chance at these guys.
Yeah, what is the Kyle Hamiltons, Patrick
year.
Queen?
Yes, every year.
And they get to just slide Nate Wiggins in there.
Yeah.
They have to move. Even like when we think about, like I said, with the Steelers, with the Ravens, with teams that really don't put out bad defense. When you throw in someone like the edge from Penn State that they drafted, like you could really put them in that system, like how Justin Madubuike just kind of popped off this year, just out of nowhere. Like they make players not only work, they have a certain mentality, a certain way they play football, and it always seems to be impactful. So whoever they draft, we always are typically a little higher on because, like, okay, we see these traits and we know their reputation. We can make it work.
Remember when they landed Ojabo?
Yeah. now it's because he had the injury in his pro day, and all of a sudden they were like, "Oh, he falls to us."
Yeah,
and he got him as a second round pick.
Bro,
that was so unfortunate.
Yes,
maybe want to rub my Achilles right now.
Yeah. So the Ravens are definitely a wide receiver early. Why?
Nah.
Yes. Why?
But I mean, I guess
they don't want to be that kind of team.
They shouldn't be that kind of team.
They show that they're not that kind of team.
I got it. But I was looking at it and I'm like, so Zay Jones, Jesus. Zay Flowers and Bateman.
Yeah.
And Andrews.
And Nelson Aguilar and Isaiah Likely.
I was like,
you're going to see a lot more 12 personnel.
You're fine. That's fine.
Well, that's if they do it, because last year they had the opportunity to.
Well, they didn't know. They didn't know what Isaiah Likely was.
When Likely showed out and Andrews came back, they didn't.
But injury, like, you're not going to be like, oh yeah, we're just going to automatically just start feeding him the ball the same way.
Doing that got them in trouble against Kansas City.
Doing what? I'm sorry.
Going against their blueprint, going against the grain of offense.
No, I just don't know if they're going to run 12 personnel, because last year they had the opportunity to and they didn't. Is what I'm saying.
Like, but you're basing
now you have to at this point. But unless you're believing in Tess Walker,
but you're basing it kind of just off of one game.
Have to. You don't have to go 12 personnel.
I'm saying
you're going to go 11 with Zay Flowers, Tess Walker, or no, Bateman and Aguilar.
It depends on how you defend. I mean, you can still it's a versatile offense where you can still adjust on the fly. But of course, their bread and butter should be the run game. Because what you have in the backfield.
They're going to be in more 12.
They could go 12. I feel like they can go. No, they can go 11 personnel.
Yes, they can. I'm just saying that because of the options that they have at tight end, with a full offseason to implement both, I feel like going 12 is a mismatch because you have Isaiah Likely, who's gonna have to be on a safety or a linebacker, and then it's gonna be the same with Mark Andrews.
You're not asking the right question.
What do you mean?
I feel like the question is which personnel package gets them to a Super Bowl. Because when we put the ball in the Lamar's hands last year, when we needed to, what did we see?
There's not one distinguished. Did the Chiefs have one distinguished personnel package that they use all year?
I mean, you have your main. What is their main? That's all I want to know is what their main.
When you need to go make a play.
I think 12.
That's their main.
So is that running or passing the ball? Ideally.
It could be both.
It could be.
The thing is because you're really well at both.
When you have two good pass catcher tight ends, because normally in 12 personnel,
Lamar.
Normally,
what do you mean, Lamar?
Your second. Normally in a 12 personnel, you're going to say something. In 12 personnel, your second tight end is your blocking tight end. in this particular situation, you have 2 tight ends that can really affect the passing game, along with a Zay Flowers, along with a Tez Walker. And then you got Derrick Henry. And oh, shit, I forgot. The quarterback can tuck it and run whenever he feels
Lamar left a real bad taste in my mouth watching him throw balls to the flat in the dirt.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't doing what he needed to do. Relax. He was throwing football into the dirt.
But it didn't need to be
receivers that he
Stop.
Dirt?
Carry on. Carry on, please.
So, anywho, we watched Lamar in the big moments after his defense allowed 0 points in the second half. And Grant, Zay Flowers had to fumble at the goal line, and they did do enough, I guess, to at least go to overtime. But when you look at the winning moments, even the basic moments, the simple throws, Lamar wasn't making them. That left a bad taste in my mouth. So even if you have dudes that gonna get open or whatever the case,
that's just one bad game.
In the big moments,
I got you, but he's had a bunch of games in the regular season.
But we will save this. We will save this. This is a different conversation.
Yeah,
this is not draft conversation. We will save this for we got all off season. We can debate Lamar throughout the off season. Yes, so we'll debate Lamar at a later juncture. I just personally, I didn't want to get too deep into it. I just really thought that with you losing, even though Odell wasn't that great, Odell was supposed to be, and he didn't live up to it. So I figured you'd go to the draft and find what it is that you were looking for Odell to be, which is why I said
Lamar. They've never had a deep stable of receivers.
I know, and he complained about that throughout his entire rookie career.
Because that's
contract.
But
that's why.
I know we're going to tuck this argument to bed, but we can all collectively say, at least I hope we can, going against the grain and putting the ball in Lamar's hands for him to throw it 30, 40 times was not the right formula. And that's why they lost.
30 times is fine. 40 is
they were pressing it, and they didn't need to, and they got away from their bread and butter, and that's why they lost.
I thought Lamar wasn't capable of 40 passes a game, but
it's not about being capable. It's about knowing that the defense has to at least know that the run is coming.
Yeah,
and they got to a point where the defense knew that they was just passing.
They stopped running.
And that's the difference. All right, go ahead.
Man, then y'all brought up the Commanders draft. It's kind of crazy. I was going to let
go ahead. I know. I didn't even get to talk about what draft I like the best.
Okay. We was just talking at this point. But go ahead. Did somebody say they like the Ravens draft the best?
I did.
Oh, you did? That's how you got.
It's one of my likes.
Okay.
So to be fair, I like the Jets draft. You know, the Jets
I don't know why you look at me like you was going to say the Commanders. You got me excited. Whatever.
I don't think anybody.
I mean, bro, I did like your draft. I'm just saying I like the Jets draft for this reason only. They did what they needed to do and address the needs that they needed to address. When we talk about all the positions that they need to address, where we felt like health was a big option or a big concern, they went and addressed it. Whether it was the offensive tackle that they got from Penn State with Olu Fashanu, whether it's, we had the concerns with wide receiver with Mike Williams, they went and got Malachi Corley so he can play the slot. So not only do they get a guy that can produce if Mike Williams is out, but they got a guy that's like when he's playing, he can still produce because they can be on the field all at the same time with Garrett Wilson. And then
Slick too, picking up Jordan Travis.
I ain't worried about no Jordan.
I don't know. I'm saying, Raj, I feel like it's a great quarterback to Slick just kind of get and see what he becomes.
I mean, I get that, but Jordan Travis was a 6-year quarterback. Like, he doesn't have a whole lot.
You like the quarterbacks,
Yeah,
I don't understand the love and the hype around him. I really don't.
Yeah, you like Braylon Allen. They got Braylon Allen at running back, and I'm like, look, they needed a backup running back for Breece Hall. Hey, that's a
Lord have mercy.
That's a load.
What?
Pause.
Yeah, see that was
nah.
So football to the flat.
No, that's not what I said, Paul.
Yeah, I know what he said, but
I said something else.
Yeah,
but it was a more common phrase. So I didn't want to get it.
The best pick of their draft was Malachi Corley. I'm sorry.
Of the entire draft?
No, for the Jets.
Oh, I like
Fashanu's cool.
Hey, but somebody got to keep Aaron Rodgers up.
Jets fans are going to love Malachi Corley.
Oh,
They are going to love his play style. They're going to love his demeanor, and I think he fits in that particular offense because they still don't have a for sure number 2 across Garrett Wilson. And I know this is a guy that he wanted.
Wait. They don't?
That's tell you everything you know about.
I mean, are you sure about Mike Williams?
If he's healthy, yeah.
That's the thing.
Well, but that's why I said that it's like, even if he deals with this health concerns, they still have Malachi Corley that can play and be productive. But I'm just saying, if you want to say who's the number 2 and they're all healthy,
I think he might be number 2 because I don't believe Mike Williams.
I think he's going to be better.
I don't think Mike Williams is going to be healthy enough.
You think a healthy Mike Williams? You think he's going to get 1,200 yards?
Wait, what was the question?
We don't think Mike Williams is going to be healthy.
But what I'm just saying a healthy Mike Williams, but he is the number 2.
That's understandable. That's understandable. No, but I don't think he's going to be. I think
so. What do you project Malachi Corley as for his ceiling?
His ceiling?
Yes. Like that's all. That
could be a 1.
A 1.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
If Debo can be considered 1, he could be considered a 1.
Debo's considered a 1 to how many teams? He's not Debo.
So his style.
Yes, his style, but it doesn't
even
mean he's going to be.
But Debo is
not asking me his ceiling.
Debo is not even. Debo is not even. Debo is not even
somebody without being up to their level. That's like
Debo is not even really considered a 1 to a lot of teams and a lot of systems. To be honest with you, he just fits what San Francisco does.
I understand.
So Corley, when he can bring to me, I like the addition.
All he can do is polish his running.
The route running needs to get a little bit better. Absolutely.
And he can create separation.
Right.
He could be a 1.
I don't know about a 1.
I don't know about a 1. But he can be an effective playmaker across Garrett Wilson. And I'm only saying that because I like Mike Williams. If Mike Williams is healthy, he changes everything.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to bank that Mike Williams is not really going to be.
See, Malachi Corley is like a super Curtis Samuel. That's what I think about maybe like a stronger Jamison Crowder. Like that's what I think about when I see Malachi Corley. But even Jamison Crowder's style don't compare. I think Debo is probably the best comp. And we don't even know.
I don't like because they didn't really run him out of the backfield like that.
That's not.
He was just a physical receiver.
And he's physical. You can make that work. I don't think because when you have the skill set where you can take reverses and stuff, and you can run after having the ball in your hands, you can make things work and just put them in the backfield. Like the Cowboys throw CD in the backfield. You know what I'm saying? Like you can throw him in the backfield for a carry or two. Have a play that's designed for him, an off tackle where you just get him on the outside and see what works. I don't think that's a deterrent for real.
But I don't think he's going to reach his ceiling anyway this year or anything like that. But this year, could I see him emerge throughout the season? Now, maybe at the beginning of the season, it's Mike Williams. But by the end of the season, could I see it being Garrett and Malachi?
I can as well.
Yes, I can absolutely see that.
I can see that too.
You can see a world where that is the case.
Yep.
Only to me, I see Mike Williams is not helping.
But see, that's the thing. We're banking on.
Yeah, y'all are banking on him.
Like Williams has not shown that yet. So until then, I have to sit here and say, you know what?
2 years since he played.
He probably will miss a few games this year, and I think Corley. First of all, Corley shouldn't have fell to the third round.
No,
but that's what his original projection was.
No, he's a second rounder. He's better. He's better than Pearsall. Yes, he is. Stop playing.
You talking to a Florida Gator right now.
No, we're saying you're saying that he's better, but I'm like, I don't think Pearsall had the same opportunities as him, and even so, like
I think
his production was still great.
I think Corley's better than Leggett. You're drafting Leggett off traits. You're not drafting Leggett off numbers.
But that's what the first round. No, it is numbers.
So you watch Malachi Corley's highlight and what he was able to do in terms of the stank that he put on. In terms of he showed the agility, he showed the finishing, the yards after contact. Like he wasn't just
contact balance.
In the balance. Like he had like some Alvin Kamara to his game. You know what I'm saying? Like it was refreshing in a way. Like there were very few tapes that I watched that popped like Malachi Corley's. Granted, I did just get a text saying, "Ain't no way we this high on a dude from Western Kentucky."
I mean, it's true. It's like,
what do you mean?
What does that mean?
People weren't. Hold on. No. To address that person.
Come on, bro.
All right, so we shouldn't be high on wide receivers from Marshall.
What does that mean?
Right?
What are you saying? What receiver
you
you
talking about Randy Moss?
Yeah.
But there was a reason. It was a reason.
You can play.
Oh, but it was a reason why Randy Moss is that.
Bro, what school did Josh Allen go to?
Went to Buffalo. Wyoming.
Come on, man. Really?
Where did T.O. go?
What does that matter?
No, it's not the fact that it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It don't matter.
You can play. You can play.
That's
what we're just talking about. Where you're like, if I'm talking about where you're picked.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about.
He's talking about the school.
Western Kentucky.
We hire a player because
don't diss somebody because they went to Western Kentucky. That's all I'm saying. Not your argument.
Okay.
Right.
I'm saying like where you're picked, the school does matter for a lot of times because if you don't, if you don't have the elite traits,
bro. We just saw Philly take a Toledo corner.
If you don't have the elite traits,
it
does matter. If you don't have elite traits, no one's picking you in the first round.
It's obvious that Corley has a certain level of traits. It may not.
Wait, what? Okay, and that's why he was picking the third.
But it has nothing to do with the school, bro.
It did have to do with this because the level of competition. It's because the level of competition.
Name me a receiver Quinyon Mitchell went up against this year.
He had elite traits.
Can you name me a receiver Quinyon Mitchell went up against this year?
in the map?
Elite traits. I mean,
but he has elite traits.
I think that you can't be Yak King and not have elite traits.
Yak King.
Yes, that's what he was.
Bro, he was huge on
him. Once the ball's in his hands, there's not a better person in the draft.
Check the numbers. He was one of the better players in college football last year in Yak. In yards after
catch. Yes, there's not a better wide receiver once he had the ball.
He was one of the best.
No. He was the best. Once the ball was in his hands, he was the best.
The amount of yards.
Yes.
Catch, I think he was second or third.
To whomst?
I forgot. I forgot.
That's a problem?
I forgot.
I'm sorry.
Making sure that we.
I'm comfortable with saying
Brock Bowers was base tight end.
I am comfortable saying at the wide receiver position that he was the best with the ball once it was in his hands in this draft. Now I don't know about somebody who's a sophomore who wasn't in this draft yet. I haven't looked at nobody's stuff. But people who were in this draft at the wide receiver position, there was nobody better than him once the ball touches his hands.
I don't understand that. Like we feel a certain.
That's elite traits.
We feel a certain way about Tank Dell. What school Tank Dell went to?
But he's also a third round pick.
It don't matter. We didn't care that he went to Houston. He's good.
What? My only thing is where they are drafted. Bro, you don't draft a guy like that in the first round unless they have elite traits. You can. That's why the second and third round.
And we're talking with receivers, because we see quarterbacks get drafted without elite traits all the time.
Well, yes, because quarterback is a different position. Skill position players, you need elite traits, or you're not going to be picked that high. You're just not.
Why isn't your ability after the catch considered an elite trait?
Because when we talk about elite traits, it's physical traits that people have. It's not stuff that they produce on field. That's just production.
You can't teach vision. The way you see the field, you can't teach those instincts. I'm saying he has vision.
Broken tackles and stuff. Not really.
I was gonna say that he said Yak in Conference USA, a notoriously bad tackling conference.
Oh my god!
Are we for real?
Oh my god!
No,
that's how he want to go.
No, but that's why we know that he's gonna be a good player. Well, all I'm saying is you don't pick a guy like that in the first round.
Bro,
he is best. He's one of the top wide receivers in this draft class. We will revisit this.
We will revisit this. It doesn't.
It does matter.
No, it doesn't.
Because then, what do you if he becomes one of the top wide receivers?
Because it's hindsight 2020.
You kidding me?
But then that proves your thought process. It proves it's wrong.
No, it doesn't.
Because your thought process caused you not to get it.
No, second or third round, if he's available.
Bro, he's looking at the helmet.
So
and he's judging the player off the helmet.
We're having this conversation.
We are.
Yeah.
He's clearly judging a player off the helmet. Doesn't matter what he does, because there's WKU on the side of his helmet instead of a G. That's the problem.
No, he made a direct point that the Conference USA is not good at tackling. We're talking about Yak in a conference that isn't good at tackling. So it's not necessarily that he's going to be right or wrong.
So he's saying that he's not giving him any credit. That's what he's doing.
Whatsoever.
He's discrediting him.
Because of where he came from.
Because of temporal expectations. I think...
No, he didn't.
No, stop covering it up. That's what he's saying.
Not saying that...
That's what he's saying. That's exactly what he's saying.
Did you? Yeah.
For sure. I'm
telling you to respond. I'm telling you, drop me a comment. Stop texting you direct. Drop me a comment.
Drop Cordell a comment. Apparently, I'm misquoting you.
You know?
Make sure
you hear what we're saying, so go ahead and drop the comment. Are you saying then that we should just sit here and discredit the fact that he's able to get it because of the conference that he plays in? That's what I want to know.
Because it started at, he was surprised that he was this high. We were this high on Malachi Corley. That's all it was. It wasn't this how like you like to be the yin to the yang.
How
he was more so just being.
Did he watch anything pre-draft? A lot of people are high on Malachi Corley.
Yes,
there were people who had top 10,
but you're not picking him in that top tier in the first round.
I'm sorry. If you tell me that there are people,
Corley is fine. If he said y'all acting like he All American. And this is Mike. Muscle.
Can we move on?
Look, all right, we're moving.
Can we move on?
Hey, bro,
I can't argue with him. Corley will either prove me right or prove me wrong. He's the only one who can prove this, so there's no point in me arguing any further on it. We'll see. Yep. But again, please comment instead of text. So all I'm saying.
Priority, but like if you gonna spend a little side joke, I'll bring it to the table.
All right. With that, I'm gonna move on. I like what the Patriots did.
Talk about Patriots, bro. Talk about Commanders.
Oh my. Brother, yeah, you go ahead and talk about it.
You've been itching. You've been itching.
We got a mic. I don't. Let me tell y'all something. This is the.
Because you're gonna be the only one on this.
I understand. I understand because y'all ain't had shit. Y'all ain't nothing to say. I don't know what
It was.
Yeah, it was a good draft.
It was a good draft. All right, let me tell you what we did. First of all, when you get a great quarterback, potentially, at number 2 overall with a high floor, you're opening your window for a Super Bowl. That's the dream. That's the goal. It's year 1. I don't have Super Bowl desires this year. It's very unrealistic. I would have to be on crack or on another hard drug for me to believe that. I'm not one of them fans. Sometimes. But neither here nor there. When you get somebody who has a high floor at 2 with weapons, you draft. It wasn't that serious, but it's okay. Get a lineman in the 3rd, fix another issue. Draft a tight end who's good at blocking, who is great yards after catch. A little early. I thought it was a little early. I want a linebacker with that pick, but looking at what he brings to the table.
And who?
Benson from Kansas State. Great guy, high energy guy. Good blocking tight end too, which helps with a team that allowed the most sacks in the league last year. It wasn't close. It was very embarrassing having to hear the slander from Falcons fans. So bringing in someone who can block and get yards at the catch, bringing in a little nickel corner. You know, we had 30-second break defense last year.
Who's as big as you?
Hey, don't hate on Samson.
First of all, don't hate on the short king.
Just go ahead.
No, you took a jab. It's my turn now.
I did. You're right. I get you.
You didn't give me no.
I didn't love that pick, but I like his intentions. I like the family that he comes from. He knows how to be a professional. He is familiar with Adam Peters and that family. What you get with that?
Say you don't like Luke McCaffrey.
I thought that there were.
She Rice came from SMU. That's not necessary.
Troy Franklin was still on board.
You still looking up
the second round?
Rasheed Rice was
Second round pick.
Rasheed.
Was he first?
No. No matter. He just set the all-time record for most catches by a rookie in the playoffs. But hey, because he went to SMU, we're supposed to feel a certain way about it.
I'm just saying he's not supposed to be a first round.
I'm just saying.
Like the needs not only to create an environment for a young quarterback
to
succeed, to do well. You to
physical
ensure
traits, huh?
that a quarterback
that physical trait
can
he has
succeed.
speed, right?
Second round.
Yeah.
Ain't no.
We ain't gonna.
I mean, but he's still
we can't let go of Portland, bro.
I get
We
it.
cannot move on from this argument.
You good? When
He's
you
proving my point.
set that
No, I didn't.
foundation
Your point is different.
for a young team that was really bad,
His?
you have a new offensive coordinator, just a whole bunch of new. I'm excited as a Commanders fan. It could go either way. Cliff Kingsbury hadn't really done what he needed to do as a coach, or coordinator kind of, but not really. So like, I don't know what this quarterback development is going to be, but picking up Sandstrom to go along with all our free agent pickups with the Bobbies and.
Hey, I'm gonna need you to wrap it up.
Please.
I need you to wrap it up. Wrap it up, bro. So why didn't you pick them as your pick?
He did. This is his pick.
No, it's not.
Oh, no,
He said the Steelers. Why would we?
Why would we bring up the Commanders?
Because they had a good draft.
I've been trying to
Other teams also have good.
been asking that every single episode.
Man,
Your job.
No. Again, I will bring them up at some point. We will make
so
sure
you should just
Commanders make it into the show. But objectively, I thought the Steelers had a better draft in terms of how it could raise their ceiling, and their floor was already higher than what we were working with.
Okay, so when we talk about their draft, when we talk about the Ravens draft, when we talk about the Jets draft,
Mike,
these are all good drafts.
That's right.
what Mike wants to tell. Hey,
But they got needs.
Mike
He's
wants you to know the Commanders' hype is going to end in disaster. Courtesy Mike.
That's your boy.
It is.
Just want you to know.
Disaster.
In disaster.
Disaster. It's crazy.
I
I
mean,
don't think when you look at when Dan Quinn has stepped into organizations,
Oh shit. Cobra Cup. You should watch this. It's crazy.
I can't.
teams have not
Eastern
gone
Washington.
down. Whether it's been the Seahawks, whether it's been the Falcons, they've improved. They've at least built out a roster
she's
that
proving the
is
clue from Hawaii.
competent and can win football games. So I think that where we coming from at a 4-13 team with a coach who lost the locker room, who didn't seem to pick draft picks or sign free agents that made our roster better, bringing in somebody like Dan Quinn who has shown that he can build a team, I think that off rip we're gonna be better. Like Marcus said 8-9, I think that's realistic. I have higher hopes, but 8-9 seems fair.
8-9 is your ceiling.
Ceiling?
It's your ceiling.
That's not our ceiling. Don't do that. That's not a ceiling. Go ahead.
He's shown he can build a team.
He built it in Atlanta?
No.
Who built that team?
A lot of those pieces were in place when he got there.
So Julio was there.
Yes.
Matt Ryan was there.
Matt Ryan was there.
Devontae was there.
Devontae was there.
Big Beasley was there.
Was Michael Turner? That was before.
That was
Not
way,
Devontae.
way. Desmond Trufant was there.
Okay, in corner.
Robert Alford was there.
So you can't even make it work. How come y'all
He
were...
made the defense better for sure.
That O-line
But
was
the
already-
guys, most of the key guys were there
Jake
already.
Matthews
So
Matthews was there.
So all of those dudes that y'all are talking about, y'all had, what, a 4-win team before you got there? 4 wins?
No.
6 wins?
No.
What was it?
Not.
What are you talking about?
They said the year before.
The year before he got there?
Yeah.
They went like, I think they went like 6-10 or something.
And then the next year,
They went 5-12 because remember they started off 5-0 and then they had an 8-game losing streak.
y'all went from 5-12 to the Super Bowl? That's kind of crazy.
Had an elite coaching staff.
And then 2 years later, did he make the playoffs? But he built the team. You got it. Go ahead.
so I love this for your team. Love this.
Dan Quinn, he just said elite coaching staff. You don't put that on Dan Quinn?
It is on. No, it's
No, that was on Dan Quinn. He made the staff.
the staff.
The staff.
I'll give him credit.
That's what I'm saying. The staff, not like knocked it out the park. A+.
Absolutely.
Staff.
The players
But
on the
obviously,
field.
once the staff left,
the team?
then
Okay, so when you talk about a coaching staff,
Because if you build a team, there's no way you go from Super Bowl to not even making the playoffs 2 years later. If you build a team the right way,
Yes.
there's no
That is-
continuity.
There should be some sustainability.
It should be.
You should always be.
You
in
went to the Super Bowl,
conversation
you went to the playoffs a year later, and got knocked out in the second round, and you haven't been to the playoffs back
since.
okay,
So that's what he's saying.
Longevity of if you
If you build it properly, right, it should
be
last
longer
you
than
a lot longer.
2 years in the playoffs.
Yes.
So he's just one of these kind of flame out dudes, what you think.
Absolutely.
So
We'll
what
see.
about
Hey, look, but
He was the
What
DC.
about the Seahawks?
The DC?
making sure that everything was
He didn't draft Cam Chancellor. He didn't draft Earl Thomas. Like those guys were in place before he became DC. You know that, right?
Yes.
and he was the
Okay.
DC. When does DCs get credit?
Well, they get credit to be head
At the same time.
coaches, but they don't get as
No,
much.
but they don't get credit for what he just said about.
But they
building
were
a
still
team.
good after he left.
Give DC.
No, but
He built was the wrong.
no.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Because when you have those
He is
people
someone that-
on the team and they weren't working how they worked when Dan Quinn was there.
Yes,
That's the-
that is true. He did elevate.
That defense was still good after he left.
No, but they weren't the same Legion of Boom that they were before.
They weren't, but
No, they weren't.
there were also some other things. One of the corners is in jail right now, and things of that nature. But
But you say that, but like, it wasn't the same.
Okay,
Either way,
you get it all out.
Please
and
land your
the
point.
Cowboys defense, obviously.
point was, y'all cut me off. Somebody to stop talking.
You said he.
Because we have some conflict.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
And yes. All right, so
I'm not-
we not there.
That's crazy. Go ahead. Are you there? Oh, that's beautiful. Let's get you now.
Yeah.
Well, like the Falcons pick. They picking a quarterback when you feel as though
Look,
guy. I'm not mad at putting a quarterback with a rocket on an elite trait. Taking somebody with an elite trait in the first round. Taking him and putting him behind Kirk for a couple years. You give him weapons. Got Deshaun, got Drake, got Kyle, a bunch of people who could put in there. I understand that if you're trying to win a Super Bowl, you would think that you get a win now piece.
Bro, ain't nobody thought this team was a Super Bowl contender, even with Kirk,
But
even before the draft.
when we
No
think-
one thought.
no,
I'm saying in the NFC, you have a chance.
Bro, Latu is going to make them a Super Bowl contender.
no. He could have
I'm
been. He
saying-
could have been a building block towards
It could
that.
have been
yeah.
a building block.
That's what we're saying. Like, that's what we're saying. Like, Michael Penix can't be that until at least year 3, and even then, that's if he comes out the gate swinging.
Right.
So
Which
I
is
understand. I understand that. For me, my only thing with the draft is okay. Drafted Penix, cool. Then I felt like we reached for Roro,
Right.
which I'm like, all right, that's not really what we needed.
But
I
y'all
did.
prefer Newton.
Yes.
I prefer Newton.
I didn't bring him up.
And then-
Man,
And then obviously like we get Trice, which I was like, okay, cool. Trice, I like the pick. And then we got Dorless, which I was like, cool,
Dorless,
like the pick. And then after that, it's kind of like,
They could have taken Trotter Jr.
yeah, we ended up taking the
Bertrand.
linebacker from
And then you
Notre
end
Dame.
up getting Casey Washington from Illinois when Brendan Rice was still on the board.
So
I feel like those are 2 picks right there. The Penix selection
Also, Brandon Rice dropped. Crazy. I don't know how he made it.
to the
225.
7th round.
225.
yeah.
That is crazy.
I mean, I understand it
No.
to an extent.
No, not to
No,
the 7th round.
because I think only thing with him is people saw it as you have the Heisman Trophy winner as your quarterback. You didn't produce as much as we thought you would. I think that's the only.
Ball was spread around.
No, but if you're that guy, you're just going to get most of the targets.
No, but okay, so you're not being that.
'Cause
Guy,
there's
hold on,
no-
but being that guy is being a first round pick. We're not saying he's a first round pick, but did you think he was a 7th round pick?
No,
That's
no,
what I'm saying.
That's all we're saying.
no. I understand that. I'm just saying that I think he was only going to be a 4th at best,
It's fine.
and then
I wanted to take him in the
I
4th.
thought he was in.
yeah,
wanted to take him in the 4th.
but I guess some teams probably just looked at it as he's probably not as good based off of him playing with Caleb Williams, and they were just like,
Bro, he killed the Senior Bowl process.
yeah, for sure.
The pre-draft process, he was one of the better players in
But-
the entire draft.
Some teams, some players, I feel like, I guess, some players, it's like, is it more production? And some other
So-
players, it's they just had a good process, so
So
you never know.
So here's my thing on the Penix selection, right? Obviously, going into the draft, I wanted it. I figured
What, 99%?
Edge was going to be the target, and I wanted Latu. He wanted Turner, but either way, I think we were fine with
Either one.
as long as they addressed.
I
Yeah.
like Latu a lot.
Now they chose to pivot to quarterback, and initially, I thought about it, and I was like, man, I'm not sure what the sense of direction is, but over time, I end up coming to arriving at the notion like I kind of understand why they did it. I don't 100% agree with it. I don't love
Yeah,
it.
we understand it.
I don't
just
love
do
it, nor do I hate it. I'm in between. I'm like, I'm because I know that no results are going to be seen for another 2. So it's for me to sit here and say it's a terrible pick, and we're not even going to know anything until 2 or 3 years from now. Like, that's a little far-fetched. But here's the thing. The reason why I'm willing to let it play out is because the ultimate payoff, right, is the one box that every team wants to check in this. Every team wants a quarterback. The last 2 years, the Falcons have been asked that question. Do you have a quarterback? We knew you had a receiver. We knew you had a tight end. We knew you had a running back. We knew you had pieces on defense.
It was fun Googling on that.
All right.
But the question was, do you have a quarterback?
Sign together.
Now they can answer that question in a certain way. Given how it plays out, we'll see how it plays out. I'll say this. I did like Penix as a prospect. I always felt he was going to go in the first round. It may not have been top 10, but I felt like given the fact that he's first of all, again, you guys heard me say this a lot in the pre-draft process. It doesn't take much as a quarterback for you to be a first-round pick, honestly. Teams will talk themselves into taking.
It's because it's a need.
Because it's a huge thing. The Broncos took Bo Nix at 12.
But they also knew that they didn't have a second round pick.
They had a
They didn't have a second round pick. It's an afford not.
When you have a need,
if they had a second round pick, they would.
No, I think they still would have.
I think they would have.
No matter what.
Yes. They
needed, what, you going to let Bo Nix go to the Raiders?
They needed.
Mess around and find out. Because I think the Raiders would have took him.
Happily
they needed
that risk.
They needed to walk away from that draft for quarter. Like, it was.
Yeah, they had to.
So, given what the Falcons did with Penix, and I think a lot of people get caught up in the contract numbers with Kirk, and you sit here and you look at it and you think, oh, Kirk's going to be the starter for 4 years. That's not a guarantee. He actually has a 2-year out after 2 years. You can just give him $10 million after that final season and say, Kirk, thank you for your services in Atlanta. They could. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, that really depends on the situation that plays out.
It depends.
I feel like that's the only option.
That is the only option.
You can't. What are you going to do? Just let him play out 4 years?
You're not.
You can't.
No.
If he plays well, yes, you can.
No.
Bro, no, you can.
Yes, you can.
No.
And so you're going to
if you play out. Hold on. If you let him play out, you got to do what San Francisco did. They didn't let.
Yes.
They're going to have to move on from your quarterback before.
Yes.
That's what's going to happen.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's a possibility.
That's probably what
that's
they don't. That's probably what they don't want to do.
You're saying it's dumb, but I'm saying if he's playing well and we have actually won playoff games in that stretch, then no, it's not.
All right, let me break it down to you. Let me follow through this entire process that you got in your head. He plays well, and y'all get into the playoffs. Y'all do your little things in the playoffs, right? Yes, y'all do your little things in the playoffs. You trade him. You trade Penix. How old's Cousins?
He'd be 36.
36. So now he's 40. So you traded him.
Playing around that father time.
And now he's 40. And now Penix is over there.
Why you picking a quarterback?
Hold on. Penix is over there and he blows up.
If he blows up.
No. Okay. But if he blows up, right? If he blows up and now that team has their quarterback for the next 15 years and you are now again in
15 years.
It'll be like 10.
All right, fine. 10.
Okay.
No. Okay. That team still has their quarterback for the next 10 years, and you're in search again. And you're in search again, and you had him there. But you didn't want to move to him because you wanted to hold on to another guy for 2 more years? He's only going to give you 2 more years.
Here's my problem with that.
But that's why you can still draft another quarterback in that time frame.
How long have you been looking for a quarterback?
That's a waste of resources.
But wait,
okay.
First round quarterback since RG3. Since RG3.
How many first round quarterbacks? What?
Yes. How many first round quarterbacks have y'all drafted since RG3?
Drafted Dwayne Haskins.
Just Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
That's 12 years.
Yeah.
And
what about
those 12 years?
Why didn't
they haven't tried?
Why didn't you?
We didn't have a high enough.
What do you mean they have a high enough?
The answer.
They did.
That is
how many quarterbacks have we seen that have been traded up for? You can't just
need someone who trade with.
What they could have. We just
Chase Young at 2. But that was Joe Burrow's draft, so Joe Burrow went first. We took Chase Young.
My problem with that is
he's never there.
My problem with that is we sit here.
17 years.
This sounds like, hold on. This sounds like another situation where somebody is almost guaranteeing that you're going to be able to trade up when you want to. I just saw a Vikings team that offered 3 first-round picks to go up and get Drake May, and the Patriots said no.
Yes, because they needed a quarterback.
But you
normally the teams in the top 5,
they don't
need a quarterback.
They don't always. Because
unless theirs gets hurt, usually they're not in the top 5 if they have a
quarterback. You know what?
Did Herbert go top 5 or anything?
I got something for that. Hold on. I got something for that. Hold on. Your old coach, Ron Rivera, was just asked what was his biggest regret as a coach for the Commanders. And what did he say?
I don't know.
Taking Chase over Herbert. That was his biggest choice.
That was a choice. They were in position to do so. And they were in position to do so.
You just feel as though
everybody knows you need a quarterback.
A lot of teams are caring about optics and are starting to not as much care about optics and how certain things look because we had just drafted Dwayne within the last probably 2 years for that. And we hadn't necessarily put a team around him that had made him great, didn't put the system in place for him to be great. So I can understand why Ron would have made that decision. But yes, the writing was on the wall.
Like either way, you guys are saying that, okay, so here's the thing. You're saying, okay.
You got next host, man.
If you say that, okay, you got to move on from Kirk, right? And then you go with Penix. If Penix doesn't work out, then what are you still doing? Draft another quarterback.
Sir, what are we talking about? I know that Kirk is done at 40. Probably before then. So you go hold on to him for 2 more years instead of finding out if this guy can give me 10?
No,
end result possibly. I know the end result after Kirk is I'm going to be looking for a new quarterback.
Given how this front office,
that I know for sure.
Given how this front office has dealt with quarterbacks over the last few seasons, Terry Fontenot, he inherited Matt Ryan, right? And we all kind of sort of thought that Matt Ryan was still a starter at least at that point, right? But they also got to a point where it was like, man, father time is getting to him. When it comes to Kirk, I'm hoping Kirk comes back this year at 36 and he's able to bounce back. But yes, but nobody knows when father time is going to hit. And I can't help a team that says, man, you know what? I don't know if I want to risk that. To be quite honest with you, the Jets are taking the same risk that you're thinking right now, because in 2 years they've said, you know what, we don't need to get his heir apparent to Aaron in here. But in actuality, you're looking at it and saying, man,
well, their situation is a little different.
Damn, man, let me finish.
All right,
my thing is, you're still looking at Aaron. It's not that different because who else is coming off another torn Achilles?
That part is true, but I think that the Jets are like all in Super Bowl. The Falcons are.
They are, but in the situation that they're dealing with right now, which is what he's trying to paint. If Aaron is not Aaron this year, they're
messed up.
They're screwed. And I can't help screwed. No, they're screwed, bro. If Aaron Rodgers,
again, the drop off from MVP Aaron, from where they was at with Zach Wilson, even if he
do you even know who the backup is for the Jets right now?
Again, you're saying if he's not playing, or he just doesn't play.
If he's not who they want him to be, he didn't go after any quarterbacks.
They screwed out of Super Bowls.
No, then they're screwed. They're screwed. All in. This is a Super Bowl move. So if you're not you, then this whole plan is blown to the window. It's gone.
It's the window. They did.
Oh yeah. They still be better.
But see, even as a team, the team last year, when Aaron went down, he knew amongst themselves, man, we're gonna have to fight now. Granted, they had Zach there on the bench. So it's a team that's sitting here and they're banking and hoping that this quarterback that they're investing everything in.
But they only did that because the quarterback that they drafted wasn't good.
Okay. Well, again,
hey, that's it.
I am, again, I sit here and I'm like, I don't waste first round draft picks. I have an issue with trading away a first round talent without even knowing if my first round talent can last me years, because I want to see have this guy last me 2 more years. I'm personally, and even if they have to go back into the draft and draft someone else, and you bring up guys who hit, But Zach Wilson, where did he get drafted? Right. Sam Darnold, where did he get drafted?
Trey Lance.
Right. Like we can sit here and name all these guys, and so you're gonna draft the guy, and then you have to wait 3 years to see if he pans out. 2-3 years, see if he pans out. If not, then we got to go back again and draft somebody. Instead of just seeing if the guy that you drafted can be that person first and foremost, because you want to bank on a guy who turned.
You should see that in practice.
No, come on, man.
Okay, all right.
You're talking
so let me
talking about practice.
So let me ask you: when did the Kansas City Chiefs? Do they really get a sample size of what Mahomes?
Yes.
One game. That's all they got.
Are you going to know how good Jaden Daniels is?
So
him throwing passes in minicamp? Oh, okay.
No, seeing this guy every day, you're going to know how good he is to an extent. Yes, you will.
To an extent.
Yes, to an extent. Like a guy, if he's making spectacular plays in practice, you're going to feel like that's going to translate better in the game. If he's not playing well in practice, then why would I think he's going to play well in a game?
Well, again, so practice is simulated for one.
So what you're saying is if he's not playing well in practice, you are going to believe he can play well in a game.
Well, and still not be the guy.
Mac Jones
If he practices bad,
Mac Jones was playing Cam Newton in practice.
And still be bad.
Understand that. What I'm saying is if he's playing spectacular in practice, you have more confidence that he can play well in the game.
Me know if you can beat it. Like me.
A lot of guys.
You're just talking about your
second team.
But I'm talking about a guy that's been in your facility, like we've said, for 2 years. If he hasn't shown me anything in those 2 years where I could feel comfortable saying that, yes, we can let go of Kirk Cousins for him, then it's like I would have reservations. He would have to show me something in practice. It can't be something that's like, oh, yeah, but he's just,
Bottom line, my thing is when it comes to this particular pick here, I am going to take a stance where I'm going to wait and see. I'm not sitting here and going to say it's a terrible move. I like the move or whatever. I'm going to wait and see because I know the payoff is the payoff that a lot of teams want. And it's the payoff that the Falcons haven't had in quite some time.
Yeah,
they're able to sit here and say they have a quarterback.
Because
that changes the conversation for everybody. It doesn't matter. If you are at a certain table, if you can sit here and say, I got a quarterback. No matter how I feel about Buffalo and their chances as a team, because 17 is on the field, they're at least going to be a playoff team.
That's a quick.
That's when you know you have a quarterback.
Bro, you still gotta watch him play.
I understand that. Watch him play, like that's like saying in the 2020 draft, man, Patriots like we got a quarterback, but it didn't work out.
I'm in the same boat to a very much lesser extent, but we brought it up earlier. What do y'all think is, or who was the best draft pick in terms of team and fit? I think it's Joe Alt because of what it could do for Justin Herbert's brand as a quarterback. If Justin Herbert has a great season, he's
in round one. You're talking in round one.
I'm on general. You can pick whoever you want. I think in terms of putting him with Rashawn Slater and creating not only bringing Jim Harbaugh in there, who has a more running mentality, which could make life easier for Justin Herbert. But I'm thinking for Justin Herbert's brand and what we think he can be, not you, but what his traits have shown he could be, I feel as though Joe Alt could help that brand. I think that could be the most important in terms of the function of their offense and creating opportunities for them to succeed.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a
you got a lot of picks.
That's a tough one.
And I'll just say Worthy. I'm going Worthy because if he turns out to be what I think he's going to be, then I got to deal with him for the next 10 years or so.
Man.
Or let's say 8.
Man.
At least the next 8 years if it should hit.
Man, that's...
I mean, the Chiefs didn't pay Tyreek, so maybe he leaves in 4.
I mean...
No, I think by that time Kelsey will be gone, so you should have no issue with it.
That's fair.
I would say the best. I would say the best pick, and honestly, this is kind of a cop out, but to me, it would have to be Caleb Williams, and it's only because but it's only because you get a quarterback which in a franchise that's never had an elite quarterback. So you bring him in, and not only did you bring him in, you brought him in a situation that is one of the best we've ever seen a rookie quarterback come into, where you have two 1,200-yard receivers, you have a 1,000-yard running back, and you paired him up with another first-round receiver who we thought could have been. We wouldn't have a problem if he was the first receiver taken off the board.
And you got two receiving tight ends who you could target.
So, and their offensive line is solid. So it's like, in terms of a guy that you could say 3 to 4 years from now, like, has really just changed a franchise, he could be that.
Do I have to pivot away from Worthy?
No, if you want Worthy,
it might be Worthy.
Sure.
Just because of just where he landed, the offense that he landed in, given the fact, and it was kind of sort of a blessing in disguise because we kind of sort of don't know what's going to be, what Rashee Rice's, what his situation is going to turn out to be this year.
Yeah.
If he's going to be on the field.
I honestly think he will.
Suspended.
But he may be suspended.
I don't think so.
How many games do you think he'll get?
My bad.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just give me a number.
To be honest, at this point, I'm thinking 1 or 2.
Oh, hell, he get at least 6. Go ahead.
But he landed into that situation. I mean, it was already a good situation for him. But when you account for that, when you account for a guy like Rashee Rice possibly missing time early in the year, and he's coming in, the best quarterback in the league, he's coming in with Travis Kelce, he's coming in with an offensive mind like Andy Reid. It's a seamless transition, man. I would not be surprised if Worthy's offensive rookie of the year,
well,
or if he's in the conversation for it. If he would have landed somewhere else, I would have said, I don't know, I gotta wait and see. But because he landed with 15, man,
it's looking like Caleb.
But to be fair, when it comes to rookie wide receivers with Patrick Mahomes, they never have like crazy great regular season. But we'll see what happens.
How many?
I'm just saying, even no. But I'm saying, but even if you want to just talk about Andy Reid in terms of offensively, they never really have crazy.
They've also never drafted a skill set like this high. Like
the last that Andy Reid had was Deshaun Jackson.
And when
Deshaun Jackson, it worked out.
Okay.
I don't think he had a crazy great rookie season.
It worked out.
But I'm saying it worked out.
Probably, you know what? He's probably going to use him the same way.
Absolutely.
No, he as he should.
Actually,
as he should.
He may, but I know for sure they're gonna put him out there and they're gonna say, "Man, that's what we bought Kadarius Toney in for." But he couldn't catch the damn football.
Yeah,
he's gonna have that role at least early on.
Yeah,
that Toney role.
I think the matchup that I like the least is Neighbors to the Giants. Hate that for him.
I hate it for him too.
You know what? What's funny is that's another situation, and a lot of people are kind of sort of starting to look at that quarterback situation and saying, "Man, maybe they should have done." I've seen a couple people say, "Man, maybe they should have done what Atlanta did."
No,
because
drafted a quarterback
because he's not, because Daniel Jones is not guaranteed after this year.
No. The only reason why you don't draft a quarterback, like, it works better for us because we have positions around to help the quarterback. They have none.
So, including quarterback.
So should the Panthers not have drafted Bryce Young last year?
It's one of the
it's different. It's different when you're already paying a quarterback.
It is different.
If you're saying, and the thing is, we even know now, we're like, Bryce Young was in a terrible situation and he didn't play well.
But
why?
Bro, they're not paying. He's gone. Jones is not a Giant next year unless he has an all-pro season. And even then, I'm thinking it might be
paying him right now. And if you know that it's like, okay, cool. If you know that if he doesn't play well, you're going to be in the position to pick a quarterback, then you know that at least that quarterback got help for them the year before, so they don't go into it with nothing.
My thing is different from your thing. I feel as though when you
hate that. Drafting quarterback.
Don't win a quarterback to a situation that can stunt his growth. That's more what my brain is.
Did the Giants have a second round pick?
Yes.
So they could have drafted a wide receiver in the second.
But is he going to be a Malik Neighbors type player? We're talking about projections.
I know, but I don't know.
If you're projecting,
you got to give me a name.
The Giants took Tyler Nugent with their second round pick. Well, I thought it was a great pick on there.
Yeah, because they lost their safety.
Which is but I'm not disagreeing.
So okay,
But
so second round, if they would have picked Keon, they wouldn't have.
They could have got Malachi Corley.
Those
Could have got Troy Franklin, Jermaine Durant.
Okay, so we think those are not.
AD would have been a really good pick.
AD would have been a solid.
AD would have been a really
Yeah, it would have been a solid pick.
I know you're not high.
I mean, they would have known that he would have been there,
but I get your situation because I understand your statement as well, because we also have to keep in mind that the seat is getting a little warm for Daboll in New York, and if this season is a disaster because of Daniel Jones, he may not even be drafted for him next year.
What quarterback would he have drafted to where his seat wouldn't have been high?
Oh no! If he drafted a quarterback,
it saves him time.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, when everybody knows when you draft a quarterback, that automatically, if the ownership,
it does not always.
If the ownership is like on board with, okay, we're starting over and we're drafting a quarterback, then they automatically understand that immediately buys me time because I got to develop this young quarterback. Like immediately.
Did that happen with Justin Fields? It did not.
That is because
you think Eberflus' job is in the balance this year?
That is because
Eberflus wasn't the one that drafted him,
but he drafted Caleb though.
Yeah, yes, and I don't think there'll be a bad enough team to where that would be the case. That's why I'm not worried about that.
As soon as they drafted Caleb, his time was set.
If they have a 5 and 12 season, he's gone.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is. I can guarantee you he is.
I'm about to say
I can guarantee it.
He needed at least 8 wins.
Yes, because how can you tell me that with Justin Fields and with partially Tyler Badgett or whatever it was, y'all won 7 games, but we added talent and you got a better overall prospect than what they thought Justin Fields was, and you win 5 games, but you're gone.
That's not.
Okay.
Really?
Okay.
Y'all are sitting here talking about Caleb like he a guarantee right now. That's why I'm like, no. If Caleb come out and Caleb struggles and has a rough rookie season, then he had to.
You as a coach.
No.
Yes.
It's fantastic for people to think that rookie quarterbacks should just come in and blaze the field.
It's not about.
It is okay.
It's about the situation.
It doesn't matter. He still has to read things. He still has to understand concepts. Bro, if he comes out and he struggles, they're just going to be like, all right, this is year 1 rookie season. Literally, we saw Peyton Manning, right? He came out, right?
Yeah,
Was he right? It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does. Because they're not the worst team.
Okay, so you sitting here telling me that instead of looking at Caleb, you're going to be like, that's on the coach. Instead of saying, oh, it's Caleb's rookie season. That's just on the
coach. Yes, because you're not the worst team. It's different if you're picking number 1 and you're the worst team. You put him in the best situation and you drafted a guy that you thought was better than what Justin Fields could be. Because you guys moved on from him.
Thought he was better than not the quarterbacks who were drafted. If Jaden Daniels comes in and have a better season than Caleb Williams,
in 1 year. It's 1 year.
No, but you understand what it is because you've had a better season before that.
I feel like there's so much slander. Well, I guess not slander because it's true, but so much that has been talked about the front office and the decisions that they made and the positions that they put their team in. Drafting Mitchell Trubisky instead of Mahomes or Watson. You know what I'm saying? And having things like that are attached to their brand. In this situation where you go and actually set your quarterback up for success, someone who everyone is comparing to Patrick Mahomes.
I don't care what you're comparing him to. He's a rookie.
But we've seen the skill set. We know what
it's not in the same situation.
He's a rookie.
It's not in the same situation.
I don't care. He's a rookie. He still has to learn.
It still has to.
Y'all making that sound like
you can learn and still win more games than 5.
Honestly, I think that is circumstantial because given how the season plays out, if hypothetically, let's just say this Bears offense is dropping passes like the Chiefs last year. That's not necessarily on every.
Sure, go ahead.
Come on, man.
Am I sitting here saying that it's going to happen?
To even say that would be a thing is outrageous because the people that he's throwing it to. He's throwing it to all pros.
I'm finished. Hey.
Was Travis Kelce not dropping passes last year?
He was.
Brother, barely.
No, not barely.
Stop.
It was a noticeable.
Not barely.
Stop.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Not barely.
You know he was
I don't
dropping
think
passes.
he did playoffs, but throughout the regular season, yeah,
He had like 5 or 6 drops throughout the year, bro. That's a lot for someone like him.
We talked about
like
on third down. And
but I think in certain situations, I think when it comes to that, it's circumstantial. If you have that funky type of year where that happens,
He's gone.
then I think Eberflus is saved. If you have a situation where, like with the Jets, where you're dealing with so many, because Saleh should have been fired last year, but what was the saving grace? They looked at it and said, "Man, you lost your quarterback.
How many games?
You had a bunch of injuries as well.
How many games did they win? They won 7. And what was the premise of how many games they won before that? 7. So they felt like, okay, if we have Aaron Rodgers, we can make a run because you did it with Zach Wilson. And you won 7.
Goddamn point.
That's what my point. If they win less than the games that they won this year, he's gonna be fired. That's the purpose.
I'm speaking on it being circumstantial, Marcus, but you keep hopping on it like there's certain circumstances. If it's a situation, he's putting
no matter what it is,
7-10 and 17. No matter how it is, it depends on how that 7-10.
He's saying, nah, it has to be.
Did they deal? Hold on. Did they not deal with circumstances last year when they won 7 games? Did Justin Fields not get injured? Did they have to deal with a quarterback that went undrafted and they still won 2 games?
He wasn't.
And so you get better talent on the team
again,
and you draft Caleb Williams. If you lose less than 7 games, where you're fired, you're fired.
It does.
I'm providing the context.
The better chances for me, in my opinion. I definitely think if they don't get at least 7, 8 wins,
Bro, he's fired, bro.
Context do matter because if they are dropping passes, if the defense is bunt, if there's injuries, if things like that, he will preserve his job.
He had the same contract last year.
Caleb tears his ACL in week 1.
I wasn't gonna say that, but sure.
He gets fired in too?
He won't.
If they
were to
move on.
Like, sure. That's the only one I give him. If Caleb Williams is out for the year, then sure. That's the only circumstance.
Close man. We do what Cordell say. Go at the audio buzzer. You got it.
Honestly, it should be about time.
You doing some research or something? What you doing?
Yeah. So the Bears.
Oh shit.
They obviously got to face their own division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They face the NFC. They face. Yes. You don't need to name everything. They face the NFC. I'm trying to speed this up.
We know who's in it.
They face the NFC West.
Mm-hmm.
They face the AFC South.
Okay.
And
that's a good division right now.
Bro,
they face
7, 8 games. This doesn't sway me.
They
are a good football team.
They are a good football team, but I'm not going to sit here and just give them the crown right now because again, Green Bay and Detroit are better teams in my opinion, and they got to beat them.
They have beaten them.
They have to do it now, Marcus. Just because you did it in the past.
Chance.
Of course, there's a chance. It's a chance that a lot of teams can beat other teams, but they still.
So I'm saying that they're in the running. It's not like they're a team that we don't expect that they can't do this.
No,
right now, I just feel like your expectations are just
you're damn near giving them the crown.
Got it. And I'm I am way more conservative, and I am just sitting here saying if they had a bad season, then they have a bad season for his first year as a rookie. Because hell, Keenan Allen gets hurt and Roma Dunze doesn't turn out to be who you guys think he's going to be. Now what you going to say to me?
You can still watch them games because they did it last year with DJ.
No, because what if Caleb's not better than Justin Fields next year?
So then that's their problem then.
Whose problem?
The Bears. But
That's
obviously,
what I'm saying.
with Eberflus, I'd be like, as the coach, I'm like, it's your job to get him to that.
It is my job to get him to that, but not in year one. I'm not sitting here saying, bro, you need to be better than Justin Fields year 3. You need to be better than him also.
I think what's tough with the expectation that's placed on him with his comp.
Crazy.
If he doesn't
the
floor for him is higher in terms of what we're expecting from him. In terms of if he does need time to,
it's the reason you got rid of Fields.
He needs to perform at a certain level.
Right,
in order for them.
He's throwing for 20 touchdowns.
For them to validate that.
He's throwing for 20 touchdowns, which is more than Justin Fields ever did. He's throwing for 20 touchdowns.
Where do you think the Bears will finish in the NFC North?
They'll probably be third.
Behind the Lions and the Packers?
Mm-hmm. But I still think you can win 8-9 games and be third because that's a good division.
I think they could end up in fourth.
It's a possibility, but I don't see it.
Fourth place teams can be 6 wins.
Fourth place teams can also win 7-8 games.
That's see what happens. Like you got your AFC North.
Well, are they not a stacked division as close to the AFC North?
No.
Actually, you know what? The AFC South, they won that many games. The fourth place team. I'm about to say the Titans won 7 games, right? 7 and 10.
They won 6.
They were the 7th pick in the draft. I think that's probably 6. That's probably 6 games, 6, 7. They won. They were 6 and 11.
Okay, 6 and 11. Okay.
So could they end up in fourth with 6 wins?
Well, I don't see that.
I don't see a big problem if they did.
They're a much different.
Only year one.
They're a much different looking team than they were this time last year.
That's why you create dysfunctional organization.
They are a better team.
Go ahead.
They're a much different looking team than they were this time last year. There's a lot of names that they added, not even mentioned in the draft. I mean, you brought in DeAndre Swift, Keenan Allen, Gerald. I still think Gerald Everett was a sneaky good move for them as a tight end too.
What do you think, Mike?
The expectations could be there for this Bears team. I don't know about expectations to win the NFC North because again, the crown. Detroit holds the crown.
Yes,
so you got to beat them. You still have to beat them. I'm not. Even though they brought in all these names, I'm not going to sit here and say y'all got it. You still got to prove it. I'm just speaking, Marcus.
All right. My bad.
So there's I can understand a level of expectations for them this year when it comes to them winning games and possibly making the playoffs. They should be a better team than they were last year, but they still got to prove it. You still got to get on the field. And you still got to lace them up, and you still got to play. So we'll see. Could they end up in last place? They could. I think a certain number of things has to go a certain way in order for them to be in last place. I think talent alone is going to prevent them from getting in last place. But I can also see them in a situation where they're drafting 10th next year because they missed the playoffs by a game or two. And they just I mean that's still a good step forward. So we'll see when it comes to the Bears.
That's the thing. I'm okay with that. It's not the fact that it's like, okay, you guys got to make the playoffs. The fact is you have to at least be as good as you were last season with all the pieces that they made. With all the pieces that they got.
I think
the only way they don't do this is if Caleb Williams is out for the season.
That's the only way.
Yes, it is.
If the receivers get hurt, Keenan is not known to be healthy.
Yes. Even if he gets hurt and Rome Odunze isn't what we think it is, they should still win 7 games because they got to that mark last year. Even before that. That's
that the quarterback is better. What Cordell is saying is that it's not a guarantee that Caleb is better.
He is going to be as good.
I definitely think that
with the weapons that they have, he's going to be as good.
And even
better running back, a little better offensive line. Like
yes,
the defense,
it's right there.
Like what else? That's what I'm saying. It's like what? At this point, what you would have to say for the team not to at least win 7 games is basically Caleb Williams gets injured or the whole team just blows up. That's it.
Brady.
That's it.
Caleb just plays poorly in his first year.
He's not.
See, look, That's my point. And we can put a period right there. That's the period that I needed right there. That's all I can say.
There's no way he plays poorly with those weapons. It's no way. He's not Zach Wilson.
Yes, sir. Sure. Whatever you want to say.
Oh, cool.
Because I'm sitting here and anything can happen. There are busts all the time.
Yeah, you think those busts are with people that don't have weapons around them. I don't know. Name me a bust that had weapons that was picked number 1.
No, you don't say number 1.
He was picked number 1.
No.
That's the expectation.
No. I'm saying because you are limiting
that was not devoid of weapons.
Marcus, you're limiting the answer by saying pick number 1. That's why I said don't.
He was the number 1 pick.
If you were pick number 3, you still have the same level of expectation, and then you still have the same level of bust.
No, because pick 1 means that you're the best player.
My thing is, my thing is,
you're the best quarterback.
You're pretending. My thing is, pretending.
3.
Hold on. My thing is, you're believing, or you're painting a situation as if every number 1 quarterback that's drafted walks into a similar situation as Caleb Williams. This situation is totally different.
That's why I'm saying.
Totally different. I wasn't even drafted like that.
But you're proving my point. That's what I'm saying. Like, nobody has been set up like this as a number 1 pick. So for me to feel like, I'm like, yes, he is not going to play poorly because he's in a great situation where it's like you literally, with the talent that he has, he literally just damn near can't, bro. You're like, what? Like, it's no instance in history we've seen that it's been a thing. So why would I believe that it would be?
It's not that it's not a thing.
All it takes
we
is
expect of Caleb and what we've seen of.
You're expecting. That's really. He just he's really high on Caleb.
No, because you can. If he plays average, which we would say average would be 20 touchdowns, 12 picks, average year. Okay, so even then, 20 and 12, you'd say if that's your below average, that's average. That's not, because Justin Fields had 16 and 11, and they had 7 wins.
Why are we basing wins off just what the quarterback does when it's the team?
Because they've added pieces that were better than what they were before.
What if the defense takes a step back?
The defense was already mid.
So if it takes a step back, it's trash.
But the offense is way better, so they should make up for the defense. Like, come on. And the defense got better with Montez Sweat. Like, this is, all right, we'll go back to this. It's crazy.
Plenty of time.
No, later, like.
No, I wasn't talking about now. I got the offseason. We got plenty of time. Go ahead.
It's crazy. JJ McCarthy, if he has a better season, I'm gonna just look over.
He doesn't have to have a better season.
No. If he has a better season, we're gonna have.
I'm looking right back at you if JJ McCarthy has a better season than Caleb.
No, for sure.
He can. He can, because JJ McCarthy's also in a great situation. But what I'm saying is Caleb Williams, no matter who has a better season, they have to win at least 7 games. That's all I'm saying.
I predict if JJ McCarthy has a better season, that they only win 6 games.
If that.
That the Bears only win 6 games.
If the
Vikings take 3rd seat, then therefore they only have 6 wins.
Cool.
I'm not.
So he's predicting that JJ McCarthy's going to have a better season than the Bears.
It's not.
I would say, okay, if
I said I'm looking right at you. If that happens, I'm looking right at you because I think it is a possibility. And that's all I keep on arguing.
You want to go now to have a better season.
Between whom?
Caleb and JJ.
You gotta play Caleb.
I would feel comfortable taking JJ.
Who are you taking? Who you put your money?
I just said.
I'm comfortable taking.
Yeah.
I need a boom. I'm taking JJ.
I'm saying I would feel comfortable taking JJ. So sure, JJ.
Okay, so JJ's gonna have a better season than Caleb, which
May 1st.
Okay, which I'm okay with, but the basis.
This is base. Justin Jefferson got to be playing. I'm not like that has to be in this. If I'm doing this, Justin Jefferson has to be playing.
The basis of this is if Eberflus going to be fired if they don't win 7 games, and I'm saying yes, he would.
And well, we have
the basis of him or JJ McCarthy better season. I didn't say anything about that.
I think
so.
Likely than not, yes, but I think context matters. Go ahead, Cordell.
Well, the only context is if he gets injured for the season.
So to bring this full circle, yeah, I think that Neighbors being with the Giants is the worst fit that
I really do hate that.
Being that is the worst because
it's crazy because the Giants are solid. Like on defense, they're solid.
Sure,
their offense got to score. Go ahead.
Yes, but Neighbors, I feel bad. I think the best fit that I like is
that changes a lot.
It changes everything.
First round, Xavier Worthy.
No, I had Xavier Worthy, but since he wanted to say Xavier Worthy, I think the next best fit that I like is Troy Franklin
with the Broncos with Bo Nix.
With the Broncos. Because there's nothing better than being teamed up with somebody you already have the familiarity with. That's why I say I like that fit, because the two of them already have the rapport. So I think that best fit for Troy Franklin, I feel like, what's better? The only thing that I can think of better is obviously having Worthy with getting teamed up with him. But those two coming in together, I feel like
who's a better quarterback?
That's what?
You were saying just in terms of you're talking about, I got you. My fault. I was thinking in terms of making the team better, you were talking about fit.
Yeah, just fit. I'm like, if I for a player, I'm like, for Troy Franklin, I'm like, I couldn't, for him, obviously you could ask for the Josh Allens of the world. If you can't get the elites, then the next best thing to me, dude who I already ride with, who now we can sit here and learn this playbook together. Like, I really wouldn't be surprised if next year he's one of the stars as far as wide receivers, because they're going to sit here and look at the playbook like, oh yeah, this is what we did in Oregon and this translates here. They already got the rapport. Like, it probably, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the one simply off that, the same way that we saw Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. Like, it was like they already had that familiarity. Like, I understand who the better talent may be, but I could sit here and easily see him being more comfortable and giving more targets to this guy because he already has that rapport with him versus still having to learn it with this guy, even if he's more talented, is what I'm saying. Go ahead. That's all. I'm not sitting here. Yeah, I don't want to sit here and say that I think that Troy Franklin is the best wide receiver on the team, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's getting a lot of more targets because simply that rapport that the two of them and chemistry that the two of them have. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to break it into something where I think that he's automatically about to be this top-notch, everybody missed on him type guy. I just think that helps him a long way having his quarterback.
Okay. I think they said it was like only the 4th time that a quarterback and a wide receiver duo has been picked in the same draft on the same team.
And obviously that all depends on if Bo Nix actually is a good quarterback. Because if Bo Nix turns out not to be a good quarterback, then that changes the whole dynamic. But if Bo Nix turns out to be a good quarterback,
I say that, but then at the same time, I said it was his maturation from Auburn to Oregon was evident to me. A lot of people felt like he was still the same Bo Nix, and what I saw at Oregon was not what I saw at Auburn. So he has changed his style as a quarterback. Now, I don't know if that's going to translate from Oregon to the NFL level. That's the thing.
That's what Sean Payton has to figure out. Right.
That's what Sean Payton has to figure out, because a lot of people within NFL circles know that Oregon system is kind of diluted a little bit, especially for the quarterback spot. Like it's I don't want to say it's easy for him, but man, there's not a whole lot of reads you got to make within that system. And that also plays into what you ask for from your receivers, which is why I'm looking at Troy Franklin. Like, man, Troy Franklin wasn't really asked to do a ton in that system as well. They just told him to just run deep. That's it. So is that going to translate to the next level as well? We'll see. What's interesting with that is, man, Sean, this is the first time Sean Payton has really drafted a quarterback and said, I need to mold him to be my franchise guy. As long as he's coaching his league, this is the first time he's done that. How is this going to play out? How's this going to look? is this going to be a situation where it's like, man, Bo is out there and Bo just, are we going to look at it and say, man, Peyton can't really,
not a quarterback whisperer.
Yeah, he can't really evaluate quarterbacks.
No.
I can see ourselves getting to that point. Like, man, he's just good at taking what's already a good product.
But I will say that, do you think that they will give him a pass because he had to pick one and he really didn't get the guy that he actually wanted? Even though, they say that, oh, yeah, that was the guy. But we know that
he got the last of
he literally got the last of the top 5 quarterbacks. So it's like, no.
Oh, you're talking about, I thought you were talking about
Knicks. Yes.
Yeah, Knicks.
6. I thought.
That was the last one of the top guys picked.
Gotcha.
That's what we're saying.
I was making sure.
I mean,
it was the 6th one.
I can see why, but then I can also see otherwise when it comes to, because there's not a whole lot of names floating around the league like Sean Payton and the reputation that he has coming in. Like you kind of you thought he was going to come in and just sprinkle some magic dust on Russell, and all of a sudden Russell is looking like Seattle Russell, and it didn't work out. It didn't even get to a complete season until that went off the rails. So I can understand if as an ownership, you're looking at Sean and saying, all right, man, look, I gave you a veteran quarterback, which is what you had in New Orleans. You won with that. You had a veteran quarterback. I gave you another veteran quarterback. He was expensive, but I gave you another one, and you got rid of him before the year was over with. And now I'm looking at you and saying, if you want to hitch your wagon to Bo Nix, then that's on you. You don't have to.
Because they didn't have to get rid of Russ. And
they didn't have to get rid of Russ.
He made that decision.
They also didn't have to take Bo Nix. I just felt like they needed to get a quarterback. But I also feel like they just drafted Bo Nix for the sake of saying we drafted a quarterback.
Well, if you're saying that they had to draft a quarterback, I mean, you kind of – it depends on – no. It depends on how far you felt your evaluation was from Bo to Spencer Rattler.
Essentially.
Basically, because it's like those are your 2 options at that
evaluation. It can't be that far.
Well, it depends. I don't know. I mean, one was a 4th-round pick. The other wouldn't have made it to the 4th.
You're a man of production. If you're talking about production, Spencer Rattler has always been accurate, at least.
But in terms of production, Bo Nix had the way better production.
Better production, but in terms of fitting into a particular system, I feel as though being accurate and on time is a trait that translates, and that's something that Spencer Rattler.
That's what Bo Nix had. That's why he had the.
I feel with him with
77%.
If the quarterback position,
you break the record for completion percentage in college football, that's pretty.
If the quarterback position is a train wreck 2 years in a row for Sean Payton, I don't know how that's going to look. At least from the ownership.
I mean, I'm in the same thing as I said before with the Bears. I'm like, the first year, I'm not sitting here getting.
Well, so Sean Payton has a long leash, but that's different.
I don't know how long that leash is, honestly, man.
I mean, he has a long contract, and I think that
that don't matter.
I don't think it matters either.
That part don't matter.
No. For Sean Payton, to me, it does matter because they gave him a chance with Russ. It didn't work out. He could say, okay, cool. Give me some time to mold. Give me like 2 to 3 years to mold Bo Nix, and you can get that because it's Sean Payton and he has cachet.
He has cachet. He doesn't have cachet when it comes to developing quarterbacks.
But he has a cachet of actually winning.
He has cachet with winning with proven products. That's completely different. It's kind of sort of like Dan Quinn. Like he can coach guys that are ready made. We've seen that in his career. As a defensive coordinator, he can step in and say, yo, I can take this Legion of Boom and win a Super Bowl with them. They're already developed. I can go to Dallas and make Michael Parsons and all. Like these guys are already now it's different when it comes to building a team from the ground up.
But that's why you give him time.
That's the thing we're arguing about. I don't know how much time Sean Payton gets.
But he gets 3 years. I don't
think he gets that long.
I think he does.
Again, the context of this situation is that he got rid of Russ, and with what people are talking about with their situation, it didn't feel as though he gave Russ a chance to even be great.
Yeah.
It felt like his mind was made up how Russ was going to be and what he was going to contribute.
And I understand that, but I also feel like if the ownership is going to look at this and say, man, I'm going to give you 3 years, but we also play in the same division where Patrick Mahomes is just tearing it up. Justin Herbert is just tearing it up. I'm like, man, I don't have 3 years.
But they have to, and the reason why is because they made the bad contracts that they did. Bro, before Sean Payton even got there, they signed Randy Gregory. They signed guys that they ended up getting rid of to where you're like, okay, that was on our bad. Now it's like we're gonna give you the time to fix it.
It's one thing to say that they have to, but it's another thing to say that they will.
They will.
We know. We don't know that.
I think they will because they are they're first time owners. They're first time owners.
They weren't even patient with Russ. And I understand
that's Sean Payton not being patient with Russ. It's not the owners. It's Sean Payton's decision. They're going to give Sean Payton the time because they're like, they're not well versed in football. So they're gonna be like, we have a guy that has been to a Super Bowl and has success. We're going to give him the time to mold the quarterback and make the team the way he wants it. You can't expect a coach that you gave money to players that ended up not being good and expected to fall back on him.
I can also see an ownership that's not necessarily football driven that also can get impatient. You can see it both sides. You can't just stick to one. It can also be an ownership that's like, man, I'm tired of waiting. Kansas City's winning. Now Harbaugh stepped in with Herbert. They're winning. I'm tired of waiting. That can happen.
That's true. But it's their fault that they're kind of in this predicament because they gave those bad contracts to those players.
They're not going to care. You got to go. Don't get fired.
Okay. All right. Both is doable, but I think Sean Payton's good the year.
Well, all in all, to say that I just thought that Troy Franklin was in a good situation with being back with his quarterback.
I'll let you have that.
All of that tangents is your fault. That's what I'm
That's
shoot. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. Thank you all for staying with us as long as you guys did. This one obviously was a little bit longer. I wanted it to be a little bit longer specifically because we haven't been on in 2 weeks. Need to at least talk a little bit. E-Rob hasn't been on in 3 weeks, so definitely.
It's been that long?
Yeah, you weren't here for the last one. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. So we So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. As always, I'm Cordell.
Marqus.
E-Rob.
Duece.
Outspoken, say what you mean what you say. Till next time, be easy, be breezy, and please.
And do what Cordell said.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wait, what?
Take it easy.
What was that?